Welcome back to the Eye Jupiter. Please pardon the slight interruption here at the beginning, but Mr. Bruce Brown is trying to come on and he's having issues. In the worst case scenario, we'll have him on the audio. I don't know exactly why. Let me go over and greet everyone. We're trying to get him on as soon as possible. He seems to be having some technical issues, and there he is. Okay, so first of all, if you're welcome back to the show, he's here. I'll go ahead and greet everyone in a second. So if you keep finding yourself coming back to the Eye Jupiter Live, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and click on all the links below. If you want to contact me, please do so at the eyejupiterpodcast@gmail.com. And a little weird today, but we all make it work. And in the end, I'm so excited that Bruce came on today again. And I want you guys to meet him in live, so have your questions ready. And please, welcome to the show, Mr. Bruce Brown.
Oh,
Hello, sir.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we got there, man. We got it, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound great. You sound great. There, hey, we have a whole bunch of newcomers here today. Well, welcome, Blanco. Oh my God, Blanco Camaro. If you guys want to go ahead and chat, go over to there's a link in the description below for the wide version, not the tall version, so the vertical versus the horizontal, and you can come on over. So, man, how's it going? Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah, doing pretty good.
Yeah, last time you were on, you were quite sick. So, hey, we got everyone so
Yeah.
happy to see you here. Welcome, sir. Hello, Wiza, also known as Native Northwest Tracker. Hello, lady. Come on over and check us out. Like and subscribe to the show. It's a little different, the one that we did, Freaky Geek. I haven't seen you in a long time. And Happy New Year's to everybody. Robert, hello, Robert. Welcome to the show. Hello, Jim from the Night's Watch. How's it going? Diane Fowler. Well, we have a whole group of people here. Of course, we have the wonderful Pam's is back this week. We're glad to see that. Hopefully, everything is doing better over on her behalf. So, welcome back to the show, Bruce. How's it been? How was your holiday, situation? Did you enjoy Christmas and New Year's with your family and friends?
Yes. I had a great Christmas. Good New Year's.
Yeah, they're not as exciting as when you get older as when you're younger, right? I remember being
Oh,
20.
right. And then, of course, now it's more about the grandkids. I get a kick out of that.
Yes. Yes, when you have the new life around you, it's always a lot of fun and it's very exciting. And I can understand everyone say hi. They're looking forward to seeing you today. So I had you on episode 97. There was a bunch of things we talked about, but the one that caught my eye that I pulled up was the incident in which one of the Sasquatch got hit by a car. You were called to the scene and then got kind of escorted away, and then you followed up on it and realized there was no report on it. Is that am I kind of summarizing that correctly?
Right. The reports that we had done, incident, accident, and a couple other reports, they disappeared after that.
Wow. So I offered you to come on the show, and you said anytime, Tom, and thanks for accepting that offer. And you said, Tom, I would like to talk about some paranormal situations that happened to me while I was on duty. So how do you want to go into this? Maybe tell people a little bit about your background in law enforcement and, how this kind of came about through time.
Okay. My name's Bruce Brown, uh, law enforcement officer, sergeant of patrol, detective. Went from detective to chief of narcotics, and as chief of narcotics, I stayed also as a detective, and got into full-time investigation of cryptids. I started out when I was 8 years old, so I was amazed with them from then. And then while home patrol and working detective work and stuff, I had run into a few supernatural things. Uh, we'll start off just whenever you get ready.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. We're ready, buddy.
Okay, we'll start off with a fairly light one. We started having a lot of reports of activities in the cemetery, and they sent me to investigate it. And this cemetery belonged to a city, so it was a quite big cemetery. And the reports were they thought there were kids and stuff partying in the cemetery. So I made a few trips at night up there. Nothing happened. Uh, Jenny get home or back on another call a few hours later and get the call back. So I decided to go up there one night and just stay all night and do an investigation. While I was there, we started getting calls in from a subdivision right below the cemetery and some houses across to the north end of the cemetery. And I was in the cemetery uh, doing the stakeout. The very back of the cemetery, hid the best you can with a car, a police car. So while I was there, uh, everything was pretty quiet. So I sat there a good 45 minutes or an hour. Then I started hearing people laughing, and so I threw my spotlight out across the cemetery. No one. So I cut it off. Waited a few minutes, and the laughing started back. So I get out of the car this time. The lights and everything's out. I've had my police mag flashlight on me. And I walk up to a big oak tree, and I get against this oak tree. And I'm listening, and no sounds or nothing. And I'm fixing to walk back to my patrol car, and this laughing started. Uh, just a real cackling and a cut up voice. And I eased back into the cemetery, and no lights or anything on, and went back to another massive oak tree in the cemetery and got to the lower side of it. And I wasn't there 30 seconds or so, and this laughing started again, and this person said, "I see you." So I cut my flashlight on, and this was a man sitting up in a tree, an old oak tree in the cemetery, way up on the limb. He was dressed in period clothes, and he was just cackling and having a good time. And I told him, I said, "You're scared about half these people around these subdivisions and around the cemetery here. Uh, you need to come down for that tree and have a talk with me." And he started laughing again. And he had some really old clothes on, I call period clothes.
Okay.
I thought it was a joke. And I explained to him that he had scared everybody around through there. And of course, being a city cemetery, a lot of the locals had family members buried there. So as I was talking to the guy, he was carrying a conversation on with me. And I asked him again to come down out of the tree. He started laughing. So I walked back to my patrol car and got the spotlight that shined up there and went back over and talking to him again. And then I realized then that my spotlight was shining through him. So it wound up being a ghost or apparition. And I talked to him a few more minutes. And then he come down out of the tree and within 5 feet from me. And I was shining my light up and down and make sure he had nothing in his hands and stuff.
Right.
And I told him, I said, "I'm going to escort you out of here." He said, "That's going to be a little bit hard to do." He said, I was buried here over 50 something years ago. So we sat down and we talked about old times and stuff.
Really?
And this
That's
is
insane. Sorry, man.
yeah.
How long was this conversation for? I'm sorry. I have so many questions.
45 minutes. We talked about horses. We talked about old times. And we talked about how he enjoyed scaring the people that come up to the cemetery or the people that was down in the new subdivision that he didn't particularly like that subdivision being built there. And
how long ago was this? So we have a question from Robert. Thank you, Robert, for the question. So how long ago did this happen, Bruce?
It was that was particular incident was in the year 2001.
Okay, so about 25 years ago. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and 45 minutes. So after you found, he actually said it's hard for me to be escorted off the cemetery grounds. How long did the conversation persist after that point? Or was there, did you have any fear, any trepidation whatsoever once you realized this? Or is it because of all the
Well,
things that have been happening in your life that it wasn't nearly as scary?
he was a good ghost. He was a
Okay.
funny ghost. He liked telling jokes and stuff. He was just a character.
Uh huh.
And uh, so I reached to get him, and my hand went through his arm. And I felt that just a sudden coldness go through my body. And again, he laughed out real loud. And I said, "Well, you're going to have to go with me." And he said, "I can't go with you." And we talked a few more minutes there, and I was trying to explain to him, you're scaring all these people here. And he was like, "Well, I'm having a little fun here."
Uh huh.
So he said, "We have uh, a glowing uh, headstone." And I said, "What do you mean a glowing headstone?" He said, "My headstone's up here and it glows at night. Certain nights it will glow." And then he said, "I'm able to come out of the ground and climb this oak tree and have a big time." He said there'd been some younger folks in there playing their radios and stuff, and he thought he would just uh, uh, try to spook them and laugh at them and confuse them. So after that, I asked him again, would he come with me? He said, "No, I can't come with you." And so I said, "Well, would you be willing to stop what you're doing and not scare these people?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm just having a little fun." And
Yeah.
I said, would you just stop and not terrify them?" So I turned around and walked back to my car. He was standing at the base of this oak tree, and he followed me halfway to my car. So just out of curiosity, and my hair on my neck standing up,
Uh
because
huh.
I've never had a conversation with a ghost.
And he
So
told you this. He said, "I was buried here. I'm an apparition, basically." And you just kind of, it kind of was just understood while you were talking that you both knew what was
no,
going
he
on.
explained to me, told me how he died, the whole 9 yards,
Wow.
and and just to make sure that I wasn't being pranked. At that time, I pretty was for sure I wasn't being pranked. When I got to my car door, I reached in and flipped my spotlight on, my police spotlight on, uh, and turned it and shined it right on him, and it just went through him. I mean, he just disappeared. So I cut my light back off again, and he wasn't anywhere to be seen. And I started to get back in my car to leave, and he started laughing again. So I shined my spotlight this time up in the tree, and then he was sitting right back on that limb again. And we made a truce there that if I would keep the kids out of their playing, he wouldn't have no reason to be rousing them, scaring them.
Wow. Making like
So
peace accords with ghosts. And it's what was I had a question. So you're often in so when you're doing do you do just like patrols around, or and you're often alone, or do you have a partner sometimes with you, or did you, better
no,
said?
no. At that time, I was working with a small police department. There wasn't but five of us, so each one of us worked a shift alone, and that shift was 14-hour shifts. So we had no backup.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
when I first started out as a patrolman.
And it didn't bother you in the least that you knew that you were talking to a ghost?
Well, yes, it does bother you, but uh, like again, he was friendly. He was just a character, and so
Wow. It's,
he
it's, and
he
this is the
stayed on
light
that.
stuff. This is the light stuff, right, Bruce?
Right, this is the light stuff, and so after talking to him for it seemed like 4 or 5 more minutes. We come to the agreement that he wouldn't be spooking nobody else up there.
Oh yeah, my question was okay. When you were called there, I'd imagine, correct?
911 calls of
Okay,
somebody
so
in the cemetery. Yeah.
and if you're gone for a certain period of time and you're doing a certain thing, I'm sure, I'm guessing, of course, but I'm pretty sure that you have to make some type of report. What do you write down in a report like that?
I just have to write it as I see it. It goes across, at that time, it went across the chief of police's desk. Uh, he knew that there were some strange things going on in that cemetery, and he just didn't want a bunch of kids up there playing. The calls that were coming in on 911, this was over a 3-night period,
Mm,
was that they believed there was kids up there playing, and of course, a lot of people had family members buried there, and they didn't want that.
right, right. No, defacing their property. So we have a question.
Right.
Welcome to the show. We have a lot of people very interested. So Sharon Hines 8622. She says, if you're having this conversation, she's basically asking what was his name and in what timeline did he exist?
He was buried in the 40s. Uh, I would have to go back up there and get the name off of his headstone. Uh, this was, a little over 20 years ago.
Right.
Uh,
Oh, so it's hard. Yeah, of course, it's hard to remember. Yeah. So
right.
so back in the '40s, so he was wearing like a certain type of
Well, he
attire.
was wearing farmer's overalls,
Okay.
and that was his. Back then that were their Sunday best, was put on a new uh, coveralls, and then not coveralls but overalls.
Mm-hmm.
He was wearing a pair of Liberty overalls because it had the big
Yeah.
name on the front of it.
Right.
And those, like 3 inches right there, their tag right above the pocket on the chest, and
Absolutely fascinating. So I want to go ahead
and
and say thanks to all the new people over here today. You guys are having incredible questions, and the questions are pertaining to what we're talking about. I really appreciate that, guys. And welcome all the newcomers. There's a lot here today, man.
well,
Currently sitting at 20 live viewers. That's a good number for me. So I guess we promoted it well, man. I guess I did a pretty good
right,
job. Thank you too,
right.
Pam. Wonderful. The one wonderful Pam Stefanich always has a big hand in on it, and she's always out there promoting the shows. And she has a question. Have you spoken to spirits since? Do you consider yourself as someone with gifts?
I don't consider myself as someone with gifts. I have spoken to spirits before. Um, Generally, the spirits I run into are quite friendly. They don't really mean any harm. I've not had the opportunity of running into a bad spirit that might try to hurt me or
Oh, that's okay. That's a good thing.
mislead me. Uh,
Okay.
they
Okay.
do for some reason these spirits respect law enforcement officers in uniform.
Really? That's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting.
And
Okay. So
so
where do we go from here, Bruce? What's the that's I'm not trying to like push to the side. That's quite the encounter, and especially if you're speaking for 3/4 of an hour and had basically a peace accord with a ghost in this. I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like that one. Thank you. So
right.
where do we go from here? Well, if that's the light stuff, what are we going to get to the middle now, or?
I'm gonna give you another light one. I'm gonna build it up to the
Okay, build it,
suspense.
buddy. I'm with you.
Okay. Uh, I get a 911 call from the dispatcher to go to this elderly woman's home. Her daughter had bought her a new modular home and had it put on the property, and she'd been there living in it about a week. We get the call that the possible intruder in the house. Again, I'm working by myself. I go in. She meets me at the driveway. I go in. I have her to stand out on the front deck, and I do a thorough search of the modular home. That's looking under beds, closets, anywhere a person could hide from me.
Right, being thorough.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I'm pronouncing, I'm saying this law enforcement officer, uh, please come out. When you come out, keep your hands in the air where I can see them. Because we're talking about a 70-something-year-old woman who was very, very prominent in the community. And she had lived in another house, and her daughter had bought her a new modular home and moved it to another piece of property that was in the city limits of Red Bull Springs, Tennessee. So I'm in there and I'm searching and I'm searching. And it takes a few minutes just to clear the house or the modular home. And her daughter's ringing the phone, and her daughter's from Murfreesboro. Her daughter's
Oh
ringing the
wow!
phone.
Shout
And
out to Daniel Cohoon, Daniel Ian Cohoon, the Magical Journey podcast, also stationed in Murfreesboro. That's just such a small world. I have so many Tennessee contacts. I don't know how I got them, but it seems to be you guys are not afraid to talk about your experiences. So it's just wild, man. Okay, yeah, please.
so I asked her again. I said, are you positive? I mean, you heard somebody. She said, I'm not only positive I heard somebody, I've met them. I know they're in here. I had her describe them to me, and it was a gentleman, plaid shirts, boots on,
Okay.
and blue jeans. So the daughter's ringing the phone off the hook because uh, the daughter's the one actually called the 911 call in for her mama
Okay.
from Murfreesboro, and Murfreesboro is a little over an hour away to Red Bull Springs, Tennessee. And so I tell the daughter, I pick up the phone, and I tell the daughter, I've searched the place. There's nothing in here. Your mother keeps insisting that there is. So I pulled she had a little table there in the kitchen that had 4 chairs in it around it. I pulled mine out, and where I'm wearing all this heavy equipment. And, it was wintertime. I had a heavy coat on, a vest, my gun belt and stuff. I have to sort of pull a chair out away from the table where I've got room to sit down. And she sits down to the left of me in the chair, and her daughter's saying, "Well, do you think my mama's got dementia?"
Okay.
Because she's talking and this kind of stuff, and there's clearly nothing there. Well, the mama can hear because there's no TV or nothing on in the house, or radio or nothing. I mean, you could drop a pin and hear it hit the floor. And the mama, she gets a little upset, and she says, I'm not, my mind's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with my mind. So I'm sitting there talking, she says, well, I may have to come get her, let her live with me, or put her in a nursing home. And the mother says, no, if that's the way you're thinking, don't even come up here. I don't need your help. Well, I'll just advise the daughter now, just be careful what you say, because she can hear everything. It's so super quiet in here. She's really getting upset. And she gets upset to the point she says, do you not see that man sitting in the chair directly across from me? Which I was sitting at the head of the table with my chair scooted back. Well, the chair directly sitting across from her and to the right of me is pushed all the way up against the table. So there's no way nobody can be sitting in it.
Okay.
So I explained that to the daughter. I said, there's no way somebody could sit in that chair. Well, this woman, she just gets, tears in her eyes. And she said, you cannot see him sitting there. And I said, no, ma'am, I cannot see him sitting there. And by then I'm starting to believe, this woman's seeing things, dementia,
Okay. Yeah.
Alzheimer's, but she's never been diagnosed with any of this, and she's sharp as a tack. And so I'm sitting there talking to her, and I'm calming her down, because now she's worked up because her daughter's not believing her. Her daughter's trying to convince me not to believe her. And that's what her train of thought was. Well, I said, well, ma'am, there's clearly not anybody sitting in that chair. The chair's pushed all the way up to the table. And she said, you're going to tell me you don't see that man sitting there? And I said, no, ma'am, I just don't see him sitting there. And she went on and she said, well, you're calling me a liar too. And I said, no, ma'am, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just not seeing what you're seeing. Well, she hits the table and points at the chair and says, you are causing me a lot of problems acting and doing and torturing me. And I'm like, this elderly lady, she's losing it. So the daughter says, well, do you think I ought to just get in the car and head that way from Murfreesboro to get her? And I said, well, that might be a good idea, but hold up, let me talk to her some more, because she really doesn't want you to come get her right now. She's mad at you. Well, I didn't more get that out of my mouth, and that chair scooted out by itself. All right. Somebody stood up. I couldn't see it. Stomped. I could hear the boots stomping. Went down the hallway and out the back door, and the back door slammed like you just swore it tore it off the hinges. Damn. I'm sitting there in disbelief. The daughter can hear all this on the phone. Wow. She said, what was that commotion? I said, ma'am, I'm in the same boat as your mother. You're going to think I'm crazy too. I said, but that chair just scooted out by itself. Now keep in mind, I'm sitting back far enough away from the table that I can see this elderly woman's legs. She has not, it's an eagle claw table. She has not took her foot and pushed the chair or anything. But the footsteps, the daughter also heard the footsteps because they were heavy boot footsteps. It goes down the hallway and goes out the back door and slams this back door. So I jump up, walk to the back door, open the back door, and this being a new modular home, there's brand new deck been built in the front and the back. Front porch and the back porch. It doesn't have any tops on. So okay. There's a heavy frost. There's no footprints out there. I step out there on the back deck, shine the light around, and the only prints that's on that deck. Now, this is a wide deck. This is a big back porch, and it doesn't have a roof on it. So the frost was a good 1/10 of an inch thick on this porch, and the only boot prints out there is mine. So I go back in. The daughter's still on the phone. She's talking to her mama, and they hand me the phone. The mother hands me the phone, and she says, who was that and what was that? I said, whatever it was, you can't see it. Your mama's not got Alzheimer's or dementia. She's telling you the truth because I had just witnessed this myself. And I said, how long will it take you to get from Murfreesboro to Red Bowling Springs, Tennessee? Well, she made it there in about an hour. And I stayed with the mother until she got there to pick the mother up.
Right.
And we discussed on the outside of it that where they had moved this modular home, it could have been graveyard or something there, and didn't know it. But this thing she'd been there about a week, 3 days to a week, and it harassed her where she hadn't got any sleep or anything.
Wow. So Bruce, if you were to venture a guess, how often do you think these? I mean, because you apparently have more stories to come, which is if you had to venture a guess, how often does this happen? Like is there? I'm sure there's police officers where nothing happened, but I'm also sure there's other police officers who've had a whole slew of these type of situations. Is this like commonplace within police departments?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's you experience all kinds of things. You will experience one particular. I was headed down an old country road, and a woman in a white dress and nightgown comes running up the road towards my car, and I stop to get out. To she's clearly in trouble. Uh, I didn't know whether she was dumped out of a vehicle or left running her house from her house down the road in the middle of nowhere. And as I got up to her, I walked up to her to talk, and she just vanished. And then from there, from the vanishing part, it was a white globe or ball of light, as you would call it, just floated off and passed my patrol car up and went on down the road. And several people had called incidents like that in before on that particular road. But that was the
Wow.
first time we actually got to document it. And I
Wow.
wasn't expecting to see it because I wasn't uh, looking for that. I
It's
was just
extremely
out on
fascinating.
patrol.
I was stationed on Fort Riley, Kansas, which is one of the most haunted military bases in all of America. Because if your memory serves you correctly, Bruce and everybody, is that that was the place where the pandemic of 1918 started, the Spanish flu. That was after the World War II vets came back from Spain and overseas. When they came back, the First Armored Division, that's where they were stationed, and that's where the flu started. And a friend of mine actually went through a lot of the MP um, books and stuff, and there was a cemetery up there in the. It's really in the middle of nowhere. It's up this road headed towards the impact area, and there was a story where one of the MPs wrote as he was patrolling one night. There was the last grave on the edge of the cemetery. There was a tombstone, and on there was a candle. So he went down to where he can, because the road is narrow there. So he went down to where he can turn around. He came back maybe a minute or two later, and it was completely gone. So it's just, we live in a very strange world, man. If you had to venture a guess, what would you think all this is?
It's just supernatural occurrences, spirits, uh, energy,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where somebody was, in a certain area for so long they just left their essence there. Uh, I've had calls to homes to where uh, uh, foot, they were hearing footprints throughout the house, and when I would get there, I could clearly hear flip flops in front of me, but there were no one in front of me.
Right. Right.
Just walking through the house, and here I am following, but no one's in front of me. And then a couple times I accidentally walked through them, or they walked through me, and you get this sudden temperature drop, that's extremely cold. Uh,
And how does it differ from, say, a Bigfoot encounter? Is one more? Is there like because we're trying to, when you hear, there's, I've been talking to people. I just had a gentleman on that's going to be coming up on the episode on the podcast in 2 weeks, and he said I seen one disappear right in front of me. Man, I can't explain it, and I know people are not going to like it, but that's what I saw, and I can't help to say what I saw. But like you're saying that this woman then did the same thing with an orb. He's talking about orbs. Do you think there's any kind of connection between the two whatsoever?
yes, you have your origins ball of energies, so I think that has a lot to do with your spirits, or what the old people would call haints. Haints are balls of lights that people can appear uh, out of that ball of light. Uh, they can also, that ball of light can follow you. So it has something of a spiritual, supernatural realm to it for it to be able to do these things. And then I've had an experience in an old house uh, that was abandoned, and that to where the orb actually talked to you.
I don't think
And
I've ever heard of that.
yes, it told me to get out. I wasn't welcome.
Whoa, like the Amityville horror thing where it just says "get out."
Get out. Yep.
That's you were saying that you didn't necessarily run across any type of demonic type situations or something really bad, but that is not exactly a friendly encounter, to say the least.
No, no, no.
Oh,
It's not. It's not a friendly, but it's the same time nothing exposed itself other than this ball of light.
right, right. Oh, all right, man. Please continue, please.
And then on another situation, I was in the Brimstone community of Clay County, and come across an extremely large ball of light. I followed it and to a boat ramp in the middle of nowhere there. Uh, it was probably a 12 or 14 mile holler, and only one house in that whole place. And the boat ramp was out in the middle of nowhere, and I followed this extremely bright light. Uh, it was bright enough that I could cut the headlights off on my patrol car, my cruiser, and
Do you mean
follow
like
it.
shining from above, or like a sphere in
It's
front of you?
it's floating in front of you. It's off the ground about 6 feet, 7 feet, floating in front of you.
So,
Uh,
how large, and what color was it, or was it?
Basketball size. It had emitting a clear light with electricity running through it, like lightning bolts.
Okay, kind of like the
So
Jacob's ladder, but inside of it, shooting around. All right,
right. So I followed
that's
it down to a bridge, and then it left the roadway at the end of the bridge and went down beside the bridge, and then I followed it down to that, and again, uh, the uh, I got static electricity off of it. My hair was standing up and stuff for no reason. Uh, I watched it for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then it went on. It come out from under the bridge and went on down to this creek, and I followed it down the creek, and it stopped. And other than the electricity, you could see the electricity running in this ball. I turned around then and walked back to my patrol car, and it followed me back to the car. And then I put the car in drive to go on down the road slowly, and it stayed to the right of me, right outside of my passenger window on the patrol car. And it followed me for 4 or 5 miles, and then it just vanished. It just
four
disappeared.
or 5 miles.
Right.
At what
hmm
rate of speed are you driving, Bruce?
No, I'm driving slow because this is in the middle of nowhere,
Uh huh.
and I'm running probably 20, 25 mile an hour.
That is just fascinating, man.
Yep.
Now, I know that because I've had you on before. Like, I don't know if I'm just a like my friend used to call me a chicken s, but those because I've had um I don't know if I've ever told you, but I've had some things happen to me. I've seen some things, I've heard some things. When I was younger, there were much more. The first time it happened to me, it was much more dramatic and much more scary. And then the things that I've experienced, the last thing was maybe 2 years ago, out on the ranch I bought here in the middle of Mexico. And it wasn't as scary, but just as freaky. So, is it when you're seeing these things? Is it because you've had these experiences a lot, or you're used to it, or is there just a certain amount of like professionalism that you're bringing to your job?
I see them quite a bit, and it's just uh, unexplained things really don't scare me. I'm more infatuated with seeing things like that balls of light because I heard the older people, I heard my grandmother talk about uh, leaving church revivals after dark, back on horse and buggy times, and
Mm.
have those ball of lights to more or less shadow them off the road and follow them for many miles. And she would talk about that, and talk about how uh, she believed that they were full of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and created that light. And some would be different colors. She talked about some would be blue.
Yes.
Some would be instead of a clear white, they'd be more of a pearl color energy balls. So after my experiences with some of the energy balls, I done research into it and explained certain things about it. Even people that were in airplanes 25,000 feet in the air would have these balls float through their airplane and they exit out the side of an airplane.
Whoa,
And
I don't think I've heard that one yet either. I've heard
yeah,
like beside the fuselage or something, but
no,
that
they'll come into an airplane, float down the aisle, and then exit right out the side.
yeah, I think so. You're basically telling me so you're not necessarily afraid because it's more of a fascination and a wanting to know. So it gives you
Right,
kind of like,
right,
what is
right,
this? What am I seeing? How do I explain this to somebody? And you couldn't talk about this for a very long time, right?
right, right.
Because
You
of
have to keep.
some type of legal situation, and yeah, that's yeah. I haven't seen any balls of light, man. I haven't seen those yet. I'm sure one day I'll do. Yeah, orbs. That's another word. Thank you, Diane. Thank you. You're being
Yeah.
very active today, Diane. Welcome to the show. I know you see me over on somebody else's, and we're so glad that you're here. And have any have any? Oh, that's a great question. Have you had any? They would call it the hitchhiker effect. Thank you, Sharon. That was a wonderful question. Have you had any of these type of things follow you home?
I've had them follow me several miles. I haven't had any follow me home, but while I'm on duty, I'd have them follow me for several miles, and then uh, not knowing they was following me. In some instances, the light would go out, and that was the end of it. And an hour later, I'd spot it again. So it's
I guess
just
I think that what they mean is like I've spoken to people where they'll be at a place, doing whatever type of investigation they're doing, or they've had an occurrence, and somehow these things will kind of more or less like attach to you, and then like kind of go home with you, and then start trouble in your house, and you haven't had any of that.
no, I haven't
Oh,
had
that's
any.
good. Well, good.
Yeah,
That's great. What we got
other
here?
than
Hello,
the,
Liz March 63. If you don't see me over there writing, Liz, because a ball of light did that to my grandparents years ago west of our town. She said it was orange and it just went along the side of the truck and for a while and then it left. Wow, this seems to be quite a common occurrence. Wow, that's new to me. Interesting.
yeah, that was that happens a lot. It really does. Uh, and
Yes,
then
yes.
you it doesn't seem to hurt you or anything. Now I had one pass through a police cruiser one night and affect my uh, radio system
Mm-hmm.
where it was nothing but static, so I couldn't receive any calls or contact a dispatcher. Just temporarily. Just a few seconds.
Right.
And
It seems also to be a thing too, where it kind of, for whatever reason, it messes with the electro. Our either a CB radio or even a TV. When they're trying to videotape or take some type of capture of Sasquatch, that never seems to work. Or if it does, it's by chance or by accident. There's something weird with the electromagnetic spectrum. And it's just, thank you, exploring the supernatural very interesting. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Hey, it's John. What's up, John? I haven't seen you in a long time, buddy. He's down there in Texas. I'm a former firefighter in Texas. Good to have you on the show, man. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah. So, Bruce, if this is the light stuff, where are we gonna? What's the stuff that kind of made put your heroin in? Like made you a little creeped out.
uh, I get a call about 11 o'clock at night through the dispatch notifies me that uh, a farmer, it's a third or fourth generation farm, uh, his grandparents' home that sits on the opposite end of a big farm that he owns that was passed down to him, his away from his house. It sits back. You have to go through a gate and drive through a cedar thicket to get back to the house. The house was built in the 1800s, and that was passed down through the generations from his great grandparents on so down. But nobody had lived in it since the 30s.
Okay.
So I get dispatched to that. The dispatcher notifies me that I won't say his name. I'll just say the farmer. The farmer would be at the gate waiting on me. So when I get there, he said, "I've got some squatters or something in this my grandparents' old house. The lights are on." And he tells me, "But there's no electricity back there, and that they've had to run electricity underground or running a generator or something."
Okay.
So I said, "Okay, just get in the vehicle with me, and we'll ease back there." And you have to drive through a cedar thicket to get to it, and it's a good half a mile from the main road after you go through this gate. And the road's not very well kept up because the only time he goes back there is on his tractor. So we get back there, and he uses a skeleton key to unlock the front door. And clearly all the lights are on in the house. And uh, we go in, and it's just like walking back in history. I mean, there's TVs, the old style TVs with these big, thick magnets in front of them.
Okay.
There's old style radios. There's wingback chairs, couches from the 20s and 30s. There's even an old wringer washer machine in there,
Okay, with the dude. Okay.
and all these very expensive antiques from back in that time are there. The old wagon wheel, I call wagon wheel lanterns, to use oil. It's just like walking back in time. Nothing has
Okay.
been moved or changed in the house because that's the way they left it. The family left it. So we go out and we're checking to see, okay, somebody's running a generator. There's no noise. We can't find anything. So we're looking, well, somebody's running underground wire. And if they did, they had to run it for a mile, from another direction because they didn't come up the gateway because we could have seen where they dug a ditch and put the wire in and covered it up. But uh, I walk around to the back where the meter is, and it's this old timey braided wire, but there's no meter there, and the wire is cut.
Okay.
So we're looking for somebody who could have run some underground wire, but clearly there's nobody there. And I radioed in and told them to send me the electric company person out there to help me figure this out. And the president of the electric company heard me on the scanner talking, and he knew there hadn't been any electricity there since the late 30s that he knew of.
We have
So
a quick question that's been asked twice. And could you tell us what county this happened in? At
this
least the
happened
county.
in Clay County, Tennessee, in the community of Oak Ridge.
Okay. Are all these, or are these, were you basically like a state patroller, or were you just in the certain counties?
At that time, I was working sergeant, deputy sheriff,
Okay.
and they called me out because I was a supervisor on it to go back in there and check this place out. And
Okay.
generally, if a deputy goes back there and there's squatters, they're going to have to call me in anyway.
Right.
And so
So you're
we
looking
get
for
back there.
power, and you're looking for like how is the lights are being seen.
Right. The
Okay.
lights are being seen 3 miles away off of a main state road across the hay fields.
Whoa. Okay. So they're extremely bright.
Extremely bright. And so uh, Mr. Hicks, who's head of the he is the president of the electric company for several counties. He lives there in Salina, Tennessee at that time, and he heard it come across scanner land, which was what we call people's home scanners that listen to us, and for me to send a Tri-County Electric was the name of the electric company, personnel out there to help me figure out this light source. So he gets there. I go back out to the front of the property to the gate and meet him. Me and the landowner does, the farmer. And he follows us in, and he's driving a white standard four-wheel drive truck with a logo of the electric company on the doors. He gets out and he says, calls me Brown. He says, Sergeant Brown said, there's never been no electricity back here since the 30s. And he said, I checked on my way in. The T-poles are still there and the glass insulators, but there's no line. It's old braided line and hanging off maybe 3 foot off of each pole. And so there's got to be somebody who's done something out here, got to run some underground wiring there. Mm-hmm. So we start an investigation, and I have again a police rechargeable mag light, extremely bright, and we're going through, and we cannot find anything. We go to the meter. There's no wires going to the meter. We go in and we check. It's an old style glass fuses that screw in.
Okay, right, I know those.
Right above it, there's 2 big long cartridges. It's called the main, and you pull a lever down and engage it from the inside of the house. You know, that's your main breaker, they call it, but it's just 2, I think those were 50 amp fuses. 2 long 50 amp fuses with brass ends on them that are narrow that lock in when you pull them down.
Right.
Well, we pulled that down and pulled it back up because it wasn't even engaged, and still we had lights. So we go into the kitchen area, and it's a chandelier, and it's hanging low. Beautiful chandelier, and it's hanging low. And he's gone to the truck to get a meter. It's just a clamp-on meter you clamp onto a wire to see if there's any juice running through it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the little
voltage meter.
Sometimes they're yellow, voltage meter, they're yellow. They got little dials on them where you can change them. Oh, yeah, I've worked with those.
Yeah. So, but this particular one he has a clamp, so you don't have to use your probes. You just clamp it, or you just put it inside that circle, open that clamp, and it reads it, you know, as soon as you close it. Well, the problem we had is after we done this, and I have to laugh about it because it bumfuzzled us and scared us at the same time. There were no light bulbs. So these fixtures were glowing super bright, but there were no light bulbs in them. So that was a phenomenal. We went around and checked every bulb, every lamp. The houses back then, they had the porcelain glass fixture with the light bulb screwed in it in different rooms. But there was no light bulb there, but there was a glowing light coming out of them super bright. So that was a supernatural incident there.
Right.
And that shook us a little bit. So we backed out of there. And then 3 nights later, I get a call to direct the fire truck in there. And we get there, and this place is already on the ground. It's burnt. Yeah, so it burnt to the ground. There was thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars worth of antiques, and it was completely set up like you were living in it. But that's the way they left it when their great grandparents passed. So it never was touched. They never took anything out of it. But it burnt to the ground and nothing was taken out of it. Uh, so that was definitely a strange
Yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah.
Uh,
You're
we
seeing it
we
three miles off the main road through a hayfield to see something that bright. That is
right,
that is candle power, or whatever. I don't know what they
yeah,
luminance or whatever they call those words. That is almost unfathomable.
yeah, and that's on the back side of the house. On the front side of the house, to get to it, you've got to go through this cedar thicket
Right.
down a lane. But it was lit up. I mean, you could see it from the road through the cedar thicket. It was lit up like a football field. I mean, it was
And
just
you witnessed this as well.
right. I was the officer with the farmer. He waited at the gate for me to go in
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't want to go in because he thought somebody had broke into his
Right.
place
So for
back there.
safety purposes, yeah.
Right.
Go take yourself a sip there. Yeah. These are just fascinating, and I think the police officers. I mean, because I've heard of it before. You know that they yeah, I've seen some stuff, man. Like I have a place that I'm interested in. I'm from Baltimore, and Baltimore's a very dangerous city.
Mm.
And there's a place called, it's not Lincoln Park, it's called Leakin Park, Leakein. And that place is where all the gangsters go ahead and drop off their, their little packages after they do their horrible acts.
Right.
And there's been, I think it's been 50 and 50 years, or 51 and 50 years. And it's a very haunted place. It's one of the largest, like, inside the city parks. And the stories that come out of there is just like some of the things you're running into. They're like, I don't know what that was that I saw, and I got to look into it. I got to actually contact the man. I hope he gets a hold of me. I'm going to get it. His name is Dan Bell. He runs stuff out of Baltimore, what I do. So we have some more time. Could you go ahead and just, if you have the chance, Bruce, thank you so much. Could you maybe tell us the one that other than that one, if there is any more in the tank? Like one more story for us before we get up out of here tonight.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got plenty more.
Sure, we'll have you back on for
Uh,
sure. Dude, that's
uh,
don't tempt me with a good
I'll
time.
give you a really good one.
All right.
Uh, uh, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. 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 Bruce. Everything seems to be fine. You there? Can you guys hear me out there? Oh, I think Bruce left there. Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
There you are. There was a little bit of a. Yeah, I think he's frozen.
glitch
Okay,
here
it was
somewhere.
normally it's me being frozen, so I don't feel so bad. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you, Diane. You're a good time. Thank you, Diane.
If
Diane,
it
if
happened, I
you
can.
want to, would you consider being maybe one of my moderators? Go ahead and write me a message, and give me your YouTube channel, and I'll have you become one of my moderators. I really like what you're doing over tonight. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead. Let's hear
Uh,
it, man.
I was I was in uh, the town of Moss, Tennessee, and it was late at night. I was doing my reports, going over the other officers' reports, and I was in my car. Uh, I was looking over a place that we called. I was sitting up on a ridge back in a little gravel drive, and this ridge overlooks what we call the 10-mile holler. No houses or nothing in there for 10 miles, but I'm sitting up on the ridge off of a main road looking into the 10-mile holler. And I keep hearing these loud jet engines. So I look to my right and I see an airplane. And it's got running lights on it, and it's a commercial airliner.
Okay.
And it comes down into the holler, So I immediately pull out of the driveway across this road. It's a state road with my blue lights on. As soon as I put my blue lights on, it activates my dash cam. And when the plane come in almost even to me, I cut my spotlight and shined on this plane. When I shined on this plane, I could see some of the windows were open and people in it. But the plane was too low to clear the mountain it was headed towards. It was coming from the east going west. All right, the plane went down. So I immediately notified the dispatcher, who in turn notified the Nashville airport and the Knoxville airport. They had no planes in that vicinity. So they said they didn't have a call of a pilot or a plane in danger or anything. But I clearly had it on the video, dash cam video, with my spotlight shining on it. I got the tail number and the name of the plane.
Okay.
And this was a big commercial airliner. And it was called Pan American World Airlines. And I got when it come across in front of me, my dash cam picked up the tail number on it. I can't remember. I used to know all the numbers, but anyway, it started with NC and numbers.
Okay. I was going to pull that bad boy up, man.
So I made the call in.
If you knew it, I'd have pulled it up.
Yep. Yeah. It didn't make it out there. It went down. So I called in dispatch, and we got a hold of like I said, the Nashville airport and Knoxville, nothing there. We went ahead and far and red to the 10-mile holler. The THP helicopters come, and then the 101st Airborne Black Hawk helicopters come to assist, because I had it on video. It was a big airplane, commercial airplane. And they spent 3 days in there and never found the wreckage, nothing. And this involved 2 states. It involved Tennessee, fire and rescue search. It involved Kentucky fire and rescue search with NC FDIC, or whatever it's called. They're investigators. So we had several hundred men on the ground and helicopters in there. We had THP helicopter and Fort Campbell's Black Hawk helicopter.
Okay, Fort Campbell, yep.
And we had several hundred men on the ground from 2 different agencies for 3 days, and they never found it. So the military shows up, and I get a call from the dispatch to 1019, which 1019 says I got a visitor, somebody wants to speak to me. So when I get there, again, it's military brass. They want my dash cam video, and they want my report. And of course, it takes, I can't turn it over without the right paperwork. So they had the paperwork. I signed off on it, give it back to them. But when they slid me the folder to sign off on the paperwork, it was a gray folder, and it said Manhattan Project on it.
What the hell?
So I signed off on it. I signed off on it and handed it to them. And then talking to this commander with the 101st Airborne Division.
Yep. Air Assault.
I asked him,
Air
I
Assault.
said,
101, let's see, Fort Campbell is 81st Airborne is Fort Bragg, and then 101 Air Assault is Fort Campbell. Yeah, exactly. The Screaming Eagles. Let's go, baby.
So I asked him what this man had. It was in bold letters. It was a gray folder with a white sticker on it. in bold letters says the Manhattan Project. So I asked him what it was, and he said that was some experiments they were doing uh, during when they made the atomic bombs.
Right.
And that was out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And the plane that I seen had come from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, from the east going west. So by the way the crow flies, it wouldn't but about an hour from where I seen it go down at. But the kicker is that I got on my video, it was traced back to the Manhattan that the aircraft was lost, preferably went through a time warp zone. And then that particular airplane was called a 377 Stratus Cruiser. Held 100 passengers. So I talked to the high-ranking military officer a few more minutes, and that plane was part of a project at the time they were building the bombs at Oak Ridge. So it was an experiment. And it disappeared. That particular plane disappeared in 1949.
And you
it
had
showed
a video of it.
Right. It showed up in 2003 on my video. And that would explain the never finding the crash site.
This is what
So
you're
this
seeing,
was
Bruce?
some kind of time warp, time
This
travel.
is what you're seeing here? One of these?
Yes. And so
Jeez Louise, dude.
that has the Manhattan Project, I later found out, was dealing with stuff like this. And the plane had actually was involved in an experiment out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which again was like an hour from where, by the way the crow flies, so it was about an hour from where I seen it go down at. But it never was found, so it didn't exist. And
So
it's been missing since 1949.
Okay, so when you seen it, are you saying that when you saw this plane, are you saying that you seen it was low in the sky and you assumed that it wouldn't be able to clear the next ridge? Or did you actually
I
see
know
it
it wouldn't
hit?
go.
Or did you see it hit?
No, I didn't see it hit, but I knew there was no way it could clear the mountain.
Right.
At the end of the 10-mile holler. I mean, the engines were wide open. The plane was coming down. Lights were on in the plane. You could see passengers in the plane. And then when it was explained to me, it was a 377 Stratus Cruiser, and it held 100 passengers. And that was an experiment from Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge. Oh my God! Is there like stuff you can look about that, or is it like all like kind of?
It's a lot of it's classified, but if you look up the 377 Stratus Cruiser, it's a double decker, like 14 or 16 windows in a row. It's a massive airplane. You can look that up and find it there. It was part of the Manhattan Project. It will tell you a little bit about it, but it won't tell you about the one that disappeared. I think they started putting tail numbers on it a couple years before that to required airplanes to have tail numbers. And on my video where I spotlighted it, I had all the tail numbers.
Right.
So
and then
it said,
yeah, YouTube's saying while Oak Ridge, Tennessee was a primary site for the Manhattan Project's uranium enrichment, and the Boeing 377 Stratocruiser was a post-World War II passenger airline developed in the B-29 bomber. There is no direct connection found between a specific item named 377 Stratos. Maybe I just wrote it. And the so it's kind of, all right, so that's what they, all right. Okay, so we have an incredible mystery. Hi, Mom. This is my mom. Hi, Mom. Fantastic, Bruce. So yeah, we're gonna take a small break, man. I'll have you back on. This was fantastic. You blew my mind. I didn't know you were going to drop that on me at the end. I thought the dude in the tree was more than enough for me, man. That's enough for me. But that sounds so real that it kind of bothered me more. With this one is more of a mystery. I'm definitely going to get in contact with you again, my friend, and have you back on, and we can talk about anything you want. Anything you want. You can come on and just shoot the breeze with me if you want to. It don't matter to me, buddy.
All righty. All right. Sounds great.
I really appreciate it. And I want to go ahead and say thanks to each and every one of you over there in a whole bunch of new members today. Go ahead and make sure you sub on the way out. I'm glad that you guys are here. And yeah, it's been incredible. And once again, thank you, Bruce, for coming on, man. Okay, I think he's frozen again. Anyhow, we are the Eye.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. We are the Eye. We are aware. I love you all and have a wonderful weekend. You have been watching the Eye of Jupiter podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of your favorite interviews. And remember, we are the Eye. We are aware.